Yes, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Stephen Howson. This could be the news that we are all waiting for. The Glazers are discussing the terms of which a full takeover can take place. Now, the Daily Mail is reporting that a significant but previously overlooked clause in Jim Ratcliffe's $1.3 billion deal to acquire a little over 25% stake in the club in February 2024. And this clause is known as a drag-along right. Never heard of that before in my life. It became active essentially a week ago, 13th of August 2025, 18 months after the deal completion. Now, this drag-along allows the majority shareholders, i.e. the Glazer family, to sell the club and force Ratcliffe and his company to sell their shares as well, preventing minority stakeholders from blocking a sale if so desired by the majority. Now, let's a little bit of context on this clause. The drag-along right is a standard business mechanism supposedly to facilitate company sales by ensuring that minority shareholders cannot obstruct a deal moving forward. In United's case, it means the Glazers could sell the club in its entirety without Ratcliffe's consent, forcing him to potentially exit. Now, Ratcliffe has alluded to this clause during his investment announcement, expressing that he hoped legal agreements would gather dust and that his relationship with the Glazers would remain cooperative. He is reportedly aware of the clause and the implications within it. Now, the current dynamics. The article suggests that a positive relationship does exist between Ratcliffe and the Glazers, with INEOS taking on significant operational responsibilities, including the cost-cutting measures and the management of the football operations. That shifted much of the fan criticism from the Glazers to the likes of Ratcliffe and INEOS, particularly over controversial decisions like the ticket price hikes and the staff redundancies. Now, implications for this from a shareholder point of view means that the clause gives the Glazers control over any potential sale, allowing them to capitalise on their majority stake. From a Ratcliffe and INEOS point of view, they risk losing their stake if the Glazers decided to sell, if they found a buyer. Now, there's talk that the Glazers value the club at somewhere in the region of 10 billion with a B. From the Qatar point of view, the Sheikh Jassim, remember that guy? Who previously bid for a full control of the club, they could re-enter the picture if the Glazers did decide to sell, although there is no indication of any sort of immediate interest. From a club operation point of view, INEOS has implemented a lot of changes, streamlined the business, taken a hell of a lot of flack for some unpopular decisions, some genuinely unpopular decisions, which Jim himself wasn't even aware of. And leading efforts to sort of fund the new stadium project and bring in influential figures to front that project, like the likes of Lord Coe. The article suggests that there's been excitement within the club about the upcoming season under the INEOS and the Ruben Amorim management. For a bit of context, the Glazers have been majority shareholders since their 2005 leveraged buyout, which saddled the club with the debt which is still yet to be paid off. That's led to widespread fan protest for decades, and it's not done anything to shift the debt or the Glazers. Ratcliffe's partial takeover was seen as a compromise, and many fans wanted a full sale. They wanted Qatar. It seemed reading between the lines a little bit that because this clause existed, it seemed to me from the outside at least that Jim was going to take over the club and then slowly and incrementally buy the Glazers out. That's not really happened. And I don't know if there's a mechanism in place to make that happen. Now, like I said, a lot of people wanted Sheikh Jassim. For me, it was never really something that I wanted to see, which was the club to be owned by a nation. If it was Sheikh Jassim and he had 10 billion, wouldn't give a shit. His nationality makes no fucking difference to me whatsoever. The fact is, it would have been essentially Qatar that owned Manchester United, in the same way that, you know, Manchester City are not technically owned by UAE, but they clearly are. Ratcliffe and INEOS taking control of the football operations. They've made some pretty big decisions to address the losses over the last few years, looking to improve efficiency. They've also actually invested money in, which is more than the Glazers have ever done. And this article reflects sort of ongoing tensions at the club and probably ongoing sort of uncertainty, not knowing what's going to happen with the future of the club. And obviously it's not like Sir Jim can come out and say here's my plans going forward, because you're a New York Stock Exchange club. You can't necessarily just put confidential operational information out in public because there's fans who would want to know. I mean, selfishly, of course I would want to know. But yeah, that's the situation that we find ourselves in. So does anything technically change? I guess it does. I guess it does. I guess the existence of this clause does change things. Like I said, I would love there to be a mechanism where Jim could get rid of the Glazers, because it makes no sense for him to be investing money while he's the majority shareholder. If he's the one that's investing money, the Glazers technically financially benefit from it. It makes no sense for him to do that until he can get rid of them entirely. And that's the issue. Fred the Red says, Stephen, when Jim bought 25% of the club was valued at $5 billion, so how can the Glazers want $10 billion? Well, they can want whatever they want. You know, they could argue the fact that the new training ground at Carrington means that the club is moving in a better direction. They could argue that the plans and planning permission, if that exists for the new stadium, means the club is in a better financial position. They can argue, they can sell it for whatever the fuck they want to sell it for. You know, they might say, we want 10 billion and we'll go, and if 10 billion is not met, we won't go. They can say whatever the fuck they want. They own it. Stu says it's unreal if we think we still owe 700 on an original 500 million debt that the scum took control of us with. Yep. Notch says it's just a clause that's come to light now. Doesn't mean anything's going to happen. It didn't before. That's true. It doesn't mean anything's immediately or imminently about to happen. But I think the existence of this clause absolutely leaves with something. Courtney says, just leave us alone, Jim. I don't understand the sort of the grief that Jim gets. Like, I don't think he's been perfect in the slightest. I think he's made some absolute clangers since he come in, but I do not doubt that he wants Manchester United to be successful. I do not doubt that. Whereas I absolutely doubt whether the Glazers give a shit about us being successful. I absolutely doubt that. Does anyone actually think that the Glazers want us to be successful? UFC MMA says, God, the morons are out today. Yeah. The Mancalorian says, if only someone is willing to pay that. Qatar wouldn't match INEOS last time around. Glazer expectations are too greedy. That's been the case forever, hasn't it? That's been the issue from day one with them. Gimelli says, I remember there being a clause that obliged INEOS to buy the other Glazers out by a certain year if the share price hits a certain level. I'm sure of this. I remember something in that sort of ballpark myself as well, to be honest with you, mate. Yeah. And that's why I thought there was a mechanism in place to see this over the line at some point, but maybe not. Benalla says, we need another 2 or 3 years before we see the results of INEOS. We do. Notch says, Glazer only wanted us to be in the Champions League, no more. Probably still the case now. Yeah, I think they looked at whatever the minimum effective dose was for their dividends to still keep coming in, and Champions League was probably the sort of the threshold for that. Stu says he's made mistakes, but look at what he's had to deal with. INEOS aren't perfect, but at least we have football men in football positions. That can't be argued, surely. Can it? Or can it? I don't think that can be argued, yeah. I think the only people who are kicking off are the people of either children or child-minded that just wanted Qatar because they wanted all of the shiny things, not necessarily knowing that, you know, just because Qatar would spend a lot of money, which I think it would have done, doesn't necessarily mean you would have done it right. I think looking at what the Glazers have spent, which keeps getting thrown in our face, by the way, since Fergie retired, if you don't have good football people in place, you can still completely fuck this up, and you can spend $1 billion and fuck it up. Arsenal have spent $1 billion and got nothing to show for it. United have spent $1 billion, not got a league title to show for it. Or you could not spend $1 billion and actually be successful if you've got football people doing football things. Averma says, is Ponytail Baldyface a Liverpool fan? Like, why would you want to run the team you own to the ground? Even $5 billion is huge profit for them. Who knows, mate? Honestly. I think you're trying to apply logic to people who are illogical. And that's the problem. Beecham says, the Glazers want United to succeed insofar as it makes them money. If that's 15th every year or winning every trophy in sight, they want money out with none of their own money going in. I think that's the case. Mag says if they wanted to sell it, they would have sold it the last time. Notch says, I never get how people think Jassim would be an amazing owner. He's just a banker with less experience than the Glazers or Woodward. Because they see the money and they think that if you just throw money at things that it would work. But surely our own recent history tells you that if you throw money at it without any thought, you're not going to be successful. I would have thought that anyway. Ross says you should have cut with the Glazers after spotting them in Chicago. The problem is, what am I going to do? Am I going to assault them in America and go to jail? No. What is the point? United would have cancelled my season ticket, my family's season tickets immediately upon doing that. I would have got nicked, and they wouldn't have sold. They wouldn't have gone, do you know what? The former fat lad's right. We should just fuck off. All it would have done is cause untold grief for myself, and they wouldn't have sold the club. They wouldn't have sat there and gone, oh shit, yeah, he's making a lot of good fucking points here. We should absolutely fuck off, shouldn't we? How badly did I want to throw something at him? Yeah, I literally wanted to throw something at him. I was fucking devoed when I spotted him. Also another security guard that's with him who's well sound, and I wouldn't have wanted to put him into a fucking bind of having to fucking deal with tackling me or losing his fucking job. Notch says, great for content, but awful for everything else. Yeah. Andrew says, you could have asked them for a loan of 800 million and give them a proper haircut. Gav says, Dallas Cowboys are worth 10 billion and haven't won a title since the 90s. Stephen says, the calf wouldn't have sustained the getaway. It wouldn't. It kind of went today. Where the fuck was I? Oh, walking past the fucking bank this morning, I felt a tweak in it. I'm like, fuck's sake. I don't think I'm doing that ultra in a couple of weeks. Yardgrid says, Radcliffe has a personal debt of how much? He'd never pass a fair owner's test. He already has. What do you mean? Harry says, Mike Ashley or the Glazers, who is worse? It's the Glazers, and it's not even close. Mike Ashley put about 300 million of his own money into Newcastle. It's the Glazers, and it is not even remotely fucking close. Meanwhile, you try and speak to a Geordie about that, forget about it. Forget about it. Gimli says, state ownership aside, I don't think Sheikh Jassim would have been a bad owner simply because the template on how to do his job and how not to do is right in front of everyone to see in City and PSG. Yeah, but it's there in front of the Glazers and they've still not picked up on the fucking cues, have they? The Grim Commoner says, is it the American war or is there another reason the Glazers look like the creatures from the Dark Souls? Honestly, with the amount of money that they've got, you should look better, shouldn't you? They really should. Is it because of the darkness in their souls? Martin says, love the morning walk to the gym content. Dama says, get the Jews out. Listen, mate, that's uncalled for, right? Whatever the religion is, whatever their race is irrelevant. They're not bad people because of like their heritage or anything like that, where they're from. They're bad people because they're bad owners, right? Let's just leave it at that and not resort to like fucking racism or anything of that sort, okay? No, I'm just going to ban you. I don't think I can fucking ban you from here. Like, I'm not having that, mate. That's out of order, right? It's nothing to do with anything else except that they're fucking bad owners because they're bad owners. Nothing to do with anything else, mate. Don't be like that. I can't fucking ban you from here. I'm in the OBS app and the OBS app don't let me do it. But if anyone's a mod, fuck him off. I'm not having that in here. MU Intrigue says, I don't understand the hate for the Glazers. They are businessmen and their business move has paid off for them. It's not like they haven't spent money. No, it is literally like they haven't spent money. What do you mean you don't understand the hate for them? Right, yes, they've treated Manchester United like a business, okay? But you don't understand the hate for them. They have extracted 1.5 billion out of what was a very, very cash-rich club for their own personal benefit. You do not understand why people dislike them. Are you fucking insane? Can I talk like a Geordie in Geordie accent defending the Glazers over Mike Ashley? No. D. Goodwin says, just order my paddock away kit. You've got a couple of days. If you want the paddock home or away kit, go and check out my socials. If you comment kit on the home one or away on the away one, it will message you a link. It is going to be private owner. It is going to be a pre-order only. If you want one, that is your only way to guarantee one. Fezzi says PSG threw money at it and still took them years before winning their first Champions League. It was actually when they stopped throwing money at it and they started thinking strategically and signing good unknown players that they actually became a success. Courtney says the Glazers have spent billions. The Glazers have spent nothing, brother or sister. They've spent nothing. They've spent negative money until Manchester United's transfer spend, which is not far off it, by the way. Until Manchester United's transfer spend exceeds the money that's drained out of the club through interest, then you can have a conversation about that. But even that, think about that, in 20 years, we have spent more on debt refinancing and interest payments than we have on transfers. Do you not think that's fucking mental? When you consider the vast amounts of money that Manchester United have spent and wasted on transfers, we still spent more on debt refinancing. Think how far away Manchester United's facilities and team would be if we weren't saddled with that debt in 2005. Think about that. Think about that. Witterbird says, are American owners worse than state owners? Has there ever been a good American owner in the league? What was the guy at Villa called? He seemed to get the culture more than anybody. Was it Randy Lerner? The one he bought a pub in at Villa Park, the place Villa Park, not the stadium. He bought a pub, I'm sure he did, and actually seemed to get into the culture a little bit, but even he fucked it up. Rish says Glazers use club money for their parties, flight fares, and God knows what. We will hate them to the core, even if Joel Glazer adopts sainthood. Randy Lerner. Yeah, it was Randy Lerner, yeah. Dublin 7 says Glazers have used sponsorship money, loans, and refinancing to pay. They paid nothing. Correct. Liverpool's owner has done pretty well. Yeah, do you know what? I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that. That's fair. NLTDRM says, what a name, by the way, Randy Lerner. Averma says, Glazer sold 500 million worth of United stock in 2021, but then they used it to buy a cricket team in Dubai. Fucking sound. Psycho Sean says, I don't get the INEOS hate. They're basically performing surgery on United at the moment. There's still bits to do, but the plan is to win the Prem by 2028. People just want an instant fix. Yeah, I think INEOS are getting a rough ride of it at the moment. Like I said, I think they've made mistakes. I don't think they're perfect, but I think they're at least trying. Stephen Harris says, I've been re-listening to Heads Gone. His Ash's disappearance down to the Octopi aliens of Three Letter Agency. Unfortunately, it's nowhere near as sexy as any of those things. He's moved. Fantastic says, I only recently found out that the Glazers were Jewish. I thought they were Irish-American for years because Malcolm looked like a haunted leprechaun. Yeah, look, there. Hang on. Why's my fucking camera gone off? Hold on. What's gone on here? You can hear me, but you can't see me. Give us a sec while I try and fix this on the fly. There we go. Cam link's back. Is it back? I think it's back. It flashed up, but then disappeared again. There we go. It's back. Hi. It's me again. Liam Sutar says, when's Michael Knighton triggering the clause? Oh, never. Would I ever go on the club? I wouldn't be averse to, but I don't think I've got time to. Fezzi says, some people would rather hear that INEOS say we're going to win the league this year just so they can blame INEOS when we obviously don't. I'm back now, Anna. I am back now. Yeah. Don't know what happened there. It didn't work for a minute. Harry says, aren't INEOS and Glazer, INEOS and Sir Jim just improving Glazer's stock price out of their own pocket? I think there's a little bit of that. Yeah. Matthew Honey says, Mahoney says, I've got my UEFA C booked for December. Luckily, the RAF are paying it. Any advice, any thoughts on the ridiculous price? Is it worth it? I guess you're probably doing it with the English FA. I don't know what the English FA one is like. I did a level 2 back in the day before they rebranded it to the UEFA C, and then I recently did my UEFA C with Wales. Was it a year ago? It was a year ago. I found the Wales coaching courses to be very good, very coach centric. I found the English ones very much about policy and procedure and not a lot on coaching. So hopefully you're doing it with Wales, but I suspect you're probably doing it with England. Harry says, how do I feel about us wasting generational players like Greenwood, Pogba, Morrison? Personally, I feel senior pros also should have looked after them a bit more. Right, well, you're looking at 3 entirely different issues there. Was Pogba wasted? I don't know if I could agree that Pogba was wasted, to be honest. I thought he was a good player for us. I think he was a good player for us, and maybe we didn't win the league with him because the rest of the team wasn't up to scratch. Greenwood was fuck all to do with United. What happened? That's on him. And Morrison, I don't think was ready to be a professional footballer with the demands that go with that. There's one thing being a talented academy player, another translating that into being a professional footballer. 50 Shilling says, I'm curious, what do they teach in these licenses? Well, the level 2 that I did a long time ago was very different to the UEFA C/level 2 that I did with Wales. The one I did with Wales was very much about the structure of your sessions and the why behind them. It was interesting. So my UEFA C went really, really well. The practical demonstration, because I coach and I'm quite a confident speaker, so mine was absolutely fine in terms of the delivery of that sort of stuff. You're partnered, so you're the assistant coach for half of a session while one guy delivers, and then he becomes your assistant. And I was flapping big time because you're actually marked on how you are as an assistant. So your assistant is doing the little things, making sure there's enough balls, making sure people are going at the right time, tiny little details, things like that. And I was flapping because I knew the guy that I was doing my course with didn't have a pot of glue what was going on, and I knew his session was going to be a car crash. And I really ummed and ahed about it, and I thought, I'm going to have to fucking say something. And I said something to the instructor, and I was like, listen, I'm a bit worried about my partner. I've just been talking to him through the planning phase of it, and he just looks like a rabbit in the headlights. And he basically told me to wind my neck in and focus on my own session. So I went, right, okay, roger that. I just thought, bring it up, fine. Fucking 2.5 minutes into the other guy's session, the guy taking the session ran past me and went, I see what you mean. And he went, listen, don't bother trying to assist him. He goes, I'm going to stop his session short. So I kind of got to breathe out a little bit then, and they stopped his session short. It was meant to be 30 minutes. I think they stopped it after about 8. And then I did mine. Basically what he did was, it's little things, it's coaching technique stuff that, it's common sense, but if you don't think about it, you might miss it. So things like, you might put all your players on cones all the way around the pitch and then try to tell them what's going on. Fucking hell, they're not going to hear you. So the first thing I did was shout everybody in and say, right, here's what we're about to do. Here's the session that we're doing. Here's the aims of it. Here's the things that I'm looking for. Explain everything I need to do. Quick demo, start the session. And then the only thing I got marked down on, mine was like bang on, apart from they weren't happy with where I stood in the condition game at the end. And where I stand in the condition game at the end is where I stand while I'm coaching. I get right in the middle of the coaching. I don't sit off and do. You're supposed to coach from the sideline. I watch the condition game from the middle because I like to pull players aside, ask them, what was you looking at there? What was you doing? Correct, and actually coach in the middle of it. So I got marked down for that. And they said for when you do the B, you've got to get off to the side and there's blah, blah, blah reasons for it. But I still do that. I still get in the middle of it. I might remember it from my course to coach from the side a little bit, but I like to see what the players are seeing. I like to see, could he have made that pass? Did he see that pass? I like to hear the conversation, the detail. I like to feel the energy, the tempo. I like to see how sharp the touches are. So I will always stand in the middle of it. And if it's unconventional, I don't mind it, because I like being right in the middle of that line there. I like to know exactly where we're at with it. But yes, one of them. Would I ever do my pro? Probably no requirement for me to do it, but I would love to do it just for the learning. It's heavy though. It's a degree. Darren's super chat there says, "What's happening, Steve? Just started watching." Everything will come out in the wash, I guess, mate. Ree says, "Chance we scout Ezekiel Palacios, please. Monster." I don't know. Irish Muck says, "I don't think Pogba was wasted. He had issues, so Alex Ferguson let him go at first. When he came back, while he was good, he still had the discipline issue." Dave Griffith says, "Pogba's the best midfielder we've had since Carrick and Scholes retired, but we've done fuck all about fixing long-running midfielder issues." Probably largely agree with that. Q3 says, "I live right by Dragon Park, where loads of folks come to do their management courses." James says, "I think they should make the bomb squad sitting in reserves on a World Cup year to prove to everyone we won't be fucked about." It's a lot to prove a point, though, innit? Thoughts on United bringing in Brentford's youth director to replace Nick Cox? I don't know anything. I remember watching him as a player, but I don't know anything about him as a member of staff. So I'll do a bit of research and we'll do a video about him maybe. Greetings from Switzerland, Steve. Thank you for the honest content over the years. Good luck. Oh, didn't carry on talking about the morning walk, did I? Apologies. We got sidetracked with the hateful comment that we saw. So that morning walk, I'll be doing it again tomorrow, and I will endeavour to do it Saturday and Sunday, and I will try and get at least 10 days before I'm fucking drop one. We'll see how it goes, but it seems like a lot of you people are looking for a little bit of content first thing in the morning. If I can get them out for 7:30 in the morning, which is my plan, then I will do that. I would say bang alerts on, and we'll see if we can make a bit of a morning routine of getting it out there and throwing it in the mixer and all the rest of that sort of stuff. Don't know what it's going to be about. Whatever news breaks. Is managing a club in EFL pyramid a goal for me? I mean, EFL, I mean League Two club. No. I want to take Paddock as high as I can take them, and then once I've took us into the FA Cup and maybe took us as far as I can see, I will step off and focus on us developing the future Manchester United players. Robert says, "Can I speak on the culture around veterans and mental health? I've had a really hard time since getting out of the army, and everything has turned around massively since I sought help." Well done, mate. And I'll just answer this one quickly before I do. From Averma says, "Has Sancho given up on football? It would appear that is the case." Culture around veterans and mental health. The problem with mental health and issues and veterans is I don't know if it's the number one symptom, but it's certainly a symptom. A symptom of PTSD is the desire to clam up and not talk about it. And the best thing that you can do is to talk about it. I wouldn't say, and again, this is purely from my own personal perspective, obviously not a clinician and clearly not a fucking expert, just from my own sort of thingy. I think if you just reach out and say, "I'm fucking struggling," you don't necessarily need to go into the details. That's sometimes enough. I did see something that I was watching another podcast, which is I saw that there was a real positive sort of benefit and correlation to people having someone that they can text and reach out to in the morning. And I know a lot of people don't have someone that they feel like they can just say good morning to. So I'm up for making those videos. Good morning. Say good morning to me. I'll fucking say good morning to you. I will try and reply to every single fucking one of you. If you all want to fucking text me that in the morning, and I can update you on what I'm doing that day. So today, I did my walk. I did my gym. I fucking hurt my calf. because obviously I came into the office, I banged out a fucking right load of videos today, and tomorrow I can update you on whatever I'm doing tomorrow. And if you want to just fucking say good morning, tell us what you're doing, throw it in that fucking good morning video, bang the alerts on, let's fucking do it. You know, I'm all for anything that's positive momentum like that. So we can do that. Ben Miller says, good morning, Steve. It's fucking afternoon, Ben. We can do that. But in terms of like the culture around veterans and mental health, I actually think it's getting better. I do think it's getting better. I think that people are a lot more aware of the issues surrounding that with veterans at the moment. So I don't think it's something that's quiet. I think people are aware of it. And I think, especially if veterans go, yeah, listen, I ain't fucking feeling it in a minute. That's enough. You don't need to go into detail. You don't need to fucking say why. You don't need to say what. I think you just say, I ain't feeling it today. And that can be enough. Sometimes that's the right weight to get off your chest, innit? Do I think we should be going all in on Donnarumma? Don't know about all in on Donnarumma. I think he improves us. I'm not sure he improves us to the level people are thinking, but I think he improves us. Timothy says, twice a season the league plays academy lads to spice things up, maybe match day 16 and 28, something of that sort. People will kick off that it was rigged because we got drawn against whoever and they got drawn against whoever, wouldn't it? Number 9 Scrum says, the morning video was actually class today. Completely missed that transfer other than you talking about it. Listen, I'll tell you exactly what I've done, right, to set and facilitate this. So you can set up actions and alerts on ChatGPT. I have 2 alerts running. One of them is teach me something. That's what it's called. So I will show you the last time. That fires 3 times a week. So I might have to scroll back a little bit to find it. But I have like one little fucking pearl of wisdom, which is just something honestly, genuinely random. I'm really going to have to fucking search for this. I don't know where the last time it fired was. And it just it gives me like a real bite-sized download on, there you go. I get topic, why success breeds more success. So it's called the Matthew effect. So this is my it's automated. It just gets delivered to my app. The Matthew effect, coined by sociologist Robert K. Merton, describes how advantages tend to accumulate for those who already have them, while disadvantages compound for those starting behind. Name comes from a biblical verse in the Gospel of Matthew, for to everyone who has more will be given. In education, children who learn to read early gain confidence and knowledge faster, widening the gap with peers. In business, companies with early traction gain more investment, talent, and customers, blah, 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 blah. Headline stat, 2019 study on academic publishing found that papers authored by well-known scientists were 3 times more likely to be cited than equally rigorous papers by lesser-known researchers. So that's it. It's like 3 paragraphs of a little bit of learning. Just teach me something is what I had as the prompt. And then I've got a quote, rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Why it matters, and then further reading on it, and it's given me the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. So it's random as fuck. I just ask it to teach me something 3 times a week. It gives me a little download like that, and I fucking read it, and then I move on with my life. It's dead digestible. The other thing I've got is what I started yesterday. I tested it yesterday, and then I delivered the first one this morning, and I've just said, find me 3 headlines that have happened overnight in the world of football, priority being Manchester United, priority 2 being the Premier League, priority 3 being like a big name in football. I want to know what's happened. I want to know who said it. I want to know what they're saying. And then I'll add the why should we be asked, what my opinion of it is, and then I can fill you in on the rest of it. So that's the formula for those morning videos. And that's how I'm going to do it. So I get the news delivered to me. If you clock anything, fucking throw it at me. Say, shit, this is this morning's news. What time do I go to the gym in the morning? Any tips for waking up early consistently to work out? Andrew Huberman says 3 days of pain. So I think you can go an hour earlier every day without too much stress. So set your alarm, get up, and make it easy for yourself. So set your alarm, get up, and maybe don't go to the gym. Maybe just get up and potter about the house and do whatever you need to do. And just get into the habit of doing it. Humans has 3 days of pain and your biological clock has shifted. You need to get sunlight in your eyes and you need to start doing a workout early doors and sweat, and then your whole circadian rhythm just changes. AJW says, Steve, for video ideas this season, what about looking back at things like 5 things you forgot about the Champions League campaign? Oh, 5 mistakes Sir Alex admits he made. Yeah, they're pretty good. Stephen Harris says, genuine perspective on mental health. Becoming a paddock member and going to matches and getting involved with the community has been a massive boost of mine. Love that. Look, I want to make, because it's free, which is a hell of a price. It's not free for us to be there. It costs us 5 figures a year, but it's because it's free and we play in such a fucking good stadium and our kickoffs are 3 o'clock on a Saturday. I would like as many people as possible to just fucking come and watch those games at Paddock. It means so fucking much to us. We get, 60, 70, 80 people down at games. Some of the bigger games will get, 100, 150, something like that. I'd love to get it to the point where, people are bringing their kids. That already happens. Football can't be a TV program for kids. And even at our lowly level, you can still get community. There's people wearing the shirt in the crowd. It's fantastic. So, how do we get to the point where that was the script, where that happens, where we can get, 5, 6, 700 down at those games? That's what I want. Get that down there, full of fucking kids, and it's free. That's what I want. Assuming your theory about Qatar is true, are you suggesting that Sir Jim Ratcliffe can summon better football experts than the state of Qatar? Do you know when people say what you're saying is, never once have you ever said what they've said? No, I'm not suggesting that. But I'm saying they've done all right. They've put good football people in place. Could Qatar have done that? Maybe. But maybe not. Could the Glazers have done that? Yeah, but they didn't. Number 9 Scrum says, not having my phone next to my bed is a simple thing for me to be productive in the morning. Actually having to get out of bed and turn the alarm off means no snoozing. David Griffith says, tip for waking up early, go to bed the same time every night. Start with that, morning will come. I do try and go to bed quite early. I also sleep in a sleep mask. That eliminates the need to want to be on my phone. I do try and sleep with my phone in a dock. I fail quite often with that. Anything, recommendations for things to do in Qatar? Not really. I enjoyed that though. I did enjoy Qatar for the World Cup, but I don't know what it's like now. I imagine a lot quieter. Connor says, planning a weekend trip from US Northeast to Paddock for a weekend to see Paddock and United, terrified of fixture changes. As soon as United have been moved to a Sunday, Paddock will be playing on the Saturday. It will be a very, very rare day, as in like this weekend, where we've not got a game on a Saturday. I would say 90% of Saturdays we will have a game. If we're at home, sensational. If we're away, we are only 40 minutes away. And genuinely, if you go, hey, I've come all the way from America, can I get a lift with someone? Someone will give you a lift to the game. I promise you. It might be a player, it might be another fan, it might be a committee member, but someone will give you a lift to the game. I guarantee it. UFC MMA says, can I ask, if you do TRT, are you on it for life? Yes, I will be on it for life. For all the people that are saying, why don't I just fucking eat more steak? That would help. Not with my levels, it wouldn't have done. Number 9, Scrum says, I'm finishing my PhD in December, so I'm looking at move to Manchester from Dundee. Nervous about it, but buzzing at the same time. Seeing grassroots things like Paddock is very motivating. Fucking mega. What's my thoughts on the possible changes happening at Super League, with Australian Rugby League potentially investing in it and giving clubs outside of Wigan, St Helens are struggling? Honestly, something needs to happen. Salford are a fucking mess at the moment. I don't know if I need to be fucking dusting my boots off and going having a run out. They've let everybody go. Like, it's a mess. 25 years ago, it was absolutely thriving, Super League. I don't know what things have gone west with it to make that the case that it is now. It's a shit show. Harry says, are all Paddock players essentially United fans? You would be shocked who our players support. They support everyone. Everybody. I think there's more United fans, but there's City fans and there's Arsenal fans. I don't know if there's any Liverpool fans. There's a couple of first team players with City tattoos. I'm shocked. Am I still driving the Defender? Yes. Have I seen on Twitter that Sesko was at Bury Market yesterday? No. Still lost 7 kg over the last 30 days. A couple of days ago, I started to feel dizzy anytime I stand up quickly. Did I experience anything similar? Any tips to get rid of it? Fucking hell, yes, I did. Every time Amazon came, I jumped up too quick. I fucking folded in half. All through December. What did I do to fix it? I ate more. And I put about £15 back on over the course of December. It's Ronnie with a City tattoo. No, it's not Ronnie. Ronnie's a red. Notch says Paddock's first assistant coach is a Liverpool fan. Correct. Do those players with City tattoos get fined weekly? No, they don't. I do find it weird how many we've got. I think there's at least 3 City fans in the first team. At least 3. Yeah, at least 3. Anyways, cheers as always for tuning in. I've got a shoot, but I will be back in the morning. There's a new podcast episode just dropped right now. Very good episode. Go check that out over on the podcast channel. Make sure to subscribe to that. Get your alerts and notifications on for the morning, because we'll be back with another morning walk in the morning. And I will see you lot in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow